The performer I've chosen to analyse is goal attack. She's perfect for this position because she's quite a tall ectomorph, so a lot of the time she has quite a big height advantage over her defenders. And she shows a range of strengths in the goal attack position. Firstly, she's got really good anaerobic capacity, and this allows her to perform short, sharp bursts towards the ball. She can accelerate really quick towards it, which she then beats her defenders, and she can go on to pass or shoot them. This might be down to having an abundance of fast glycolytic fibres in her legs, which allow her to perform these explosive movements. The energy system she uses mainly in this case is the alactic system. So this works by when ATP levels fall, creatine kinase is released, which breaks down the phosphogradient bond, which releases energy in an exothermic reaction. And the energy released there is used to resynthesize ATP from ADP. It's good for these explosive movements because phosphogradient is a readily available source, and the resynthesis of ATP is a really quick reaction with the alactic system, and there's no fatiguing byproducts, which is good. She's got really good coordination in her hands and her feet, so she can catch a high-speed ball and complete a good landing to not give away a free pass due to like footwork penalties. And then it keeps possession and contributes to a good team performance, so that's good. She's got really good agility as well, so she can move and change direction of the body quickly while under control. So when the ball gets tipped by defenders, she's first to it, and she can dodge effectively to go on and receive a pass. She shows a range of skills as well in this position. Due to her having really good coordination, she's got good footwork skills, so she understands like the best landing that'll suit her situation and uses it effectively. And when the speed of the game increases, she can sort of catch a ball, turn 180 degrees in mid-air, so she's facing the way that she's shooting, which is good. And again, the better the footwork, the less possession is given away through free passes, deep footwork. So good team performance. Also, she's got really good spatial awareness around the court. She identifies where the space is and moves into it, whether she's moving into it to pass or create space for a teammate. And she doesn't attempt to chase the ball, which lets her flow down court more successfully. She also shows good decision-making skills. So she chooses like the correct type of pass in and out of the circle, and she knows when to move and when to drop back. This shows good use of her translator mechanism, and she also uses her long-term memory well because she recognises situations in the game that she's been in before, and she remembers what type of pass will work the most sort of effectively and uses that. Like if there's a tall defender, she'll go and use a bounce pass in the circle. She's displaying a stable personality in the game. She's quite calm under pressure, and she makes good decisions, controls her emotions. She's likely to be an extrovert because she's in a team game and she seems quite sociable and outgoing. And since extroverts become more aroused more slowly than introverts, that again helps her decision-making skills. Both the performer and her team show good use of tactics in the game. They use the full width of the court, driving out to the sides, coming back in to create more space so they don't end up bunching in one place. Both her and the team have adapted to the specific defender she's playing against. So the defender's quite tall, so they're both using overhead balls into the circle. And she seems to show quite good leadership skills out on the court, showing like high motivation, charisma, and good communication skills with the whole team. She's constantly encouraging the team and picking up on some weaknesses that can be improved upon throughout. They also use planned backline balls well, where the centre and the wing attack are positioned either at the top or the edge of the circle, and the goal shooter and the goal attack alternate between who receives the ball. And the performer can then use the split landing, where the landing foot's placed closer to the goalpost, and it makes shooting easier then. So that's good. She does show some weaknesses in the game as well. So in terms of skill, her shooting's not great. It's mainly due to a lack in balance, which causes the ball to go off course and then a miss. She doesn't really follow through with her arms either. They're sort of brought down as soon as she's shot, which isn't good. She needs to practice on following through with her shots. The coaching points would be to stand with your body aligned to the post, feet shoulder width apart. Put the ball on your fingertips of your strongest hand with the other hand steady and directing. The arms are extended at the elbow joint, and then you sort of bend your knees and your elbow and release the ball when straightening. You should also use your wrists to put backspin on the ball and sort of aim for the furthest away part of the post and put the backspin so it comes back into it. Yeah, she should also go for rebounds as well, because she doesn't seem to do this in games. And shooting is a closed skill, so if she just practices and practices, she can get to the autonomous stage where it's well learned and she'd be more likely to score in a game. If she gets nervous when she's shooting, she could use things like imagery and positive self-talk to sort of, imagine the ball going through the hoop, and just reassure herself that she can actually do it, and then that'll increase a bit of confidence then. So that's good. Her chest pass is also a weakness because it lacks power and accuracy. So a lot of passes get sort of intercepted, or they don't reach their teammates when really they should be. And this loses shooting opportunities then, and it seems to get weaker and weaker throughout the game, so that's something that needs to be worked on. Her communication skills with her goal shooter in specific are not great. They move into the same space in the circle, which makes the ball easier to intercept for the defence. So that needs to be worked on, and they could practice drills and things in training and come up with calls to try and improve on that. She does display some fitness weaknesses as well. Her aerobic capacity isn't really up to a standard where she can remain at quite a high intensity for the duration of the game. So like her heart doesn't have the ability to deliver sufficient oxygen to the working muscles for a prolonged period of time. It's natural for fatigue to occur, but her standard really drops quite significantly from sort of third quarter onwards, and then she sort of shows less sprinting, just generally less involved in the game, and having a poor aerobic fitness as well as being in sort of quite a large group, I suppose. It may cause her to social loaf, where she starts putting less effort in, becomes more dependent on her team carrying her rather than putting the effort in herself. To improve her aerobic capacity, she could use continuous and fartlek training. Fartlek would be really good because you can vary the intensity, and in a netball game, the intensity is always changing. You're sprinting, you're stopping, so fartlek would be really helpful. Her muscular endurance also isn't very good. This is the muscle's ability to perform repeated contractions against the resistance, and it's essential in netball because you're constantly jumping, shooting, passing, and hers isn't very good. So her standard of passing and shooting and everything drops throughout the game. So something that would help the muscular endurance in the triceps, especially for passing and shooting, would be tricep dips. So they can improve the strength in the triceps and then improve power then. Finally, her power, she doesn't have much power in shooting or passing, which causes her shots and her passes to fail. And a repeated amount of missed shots and inaccurate passes can lead to a drop in confidence, which it may sort of decrease her overall performance then. So she needs to improve her power which will then improve her shooting ability, and then hopefully that'll raise some confidence and give her a better overall performance. Yeah, there's some tactics she could work on. So like when there's a sideline ball, she tends to move into the centre in the wing attack space when really she should be dropping back a bit unless it's essential for her to go forward. And when she moves into the space, she's just wasting energy because it's not really going to go anywhere. Also, her and her goal shooter can improve their lever system, where one goes to sort of the top of the circle or the edge and one moves in under the post. This will come with practicing drills and practicing communication skills in training, so that's something she can work on. The action plan is going to focus on her aerobic capacity and her chest pass. The time scale is going to be 6 weeks with 3 hour-long sessions a week. 1 hour will be fitness, 1 hour will be skill, and then we'll have a half and half session. It would be good if she tried to adopt a need to achieve motivational approach, because this will help her accept challenges and show approach behaviour towards improving, and then once she sees herself improving, she can attribute her success to internal factors like ability and effort, and then that'll raise her confidence hopefully as well. So with her chest pass, the problem is the accuracy and the power she puts behind it. So the correct coaching points for the chest pass would be to form a W shape with your thumbs sort of in the middle of the ball. Feet shoulder width apart. Step back onto your dominant foot and flex the arms at the elbow joint. You should then transfer your weight onto your front foot and extend to release. You should try and push through the ball to get your full weight behind it, so maximum amount of power. You should straighten your arms and fingers when releasing, but keep your wrists pointed upwards to fully extend your arms. And you should try and keep eye contact with whoever you're passing to as well. So in preparation, the arms are flexed at the elbow joint and the biceps brachii are the agonist. Then when releasing the ball, you're extending so the triceps brachii become the agonist. Some force is also generated from the pectoralis major, and the movement is anaerobic, and like Newton's second law of motion, the more force you put behind it, the more powerful it's going to be. So that's something to work on. Firstly, it's set up a series of progressive practices to improve. Passing's a discrete skill, so it's going to be repetitive at first, you know. And before she starts the action plan, I'd watch her in a game situation and count the number of successful chest passes she completes and gain a passing percentage, and then I'll do this again after the action plan to see her improvement and show her that obviously she will improve, and hopefully that'll raise confidence then. In the action plan, she's going to be taken back to the cognitive and associative stage of learning. So hopefully the chest passing will become well learned and then become more naturally in a game now. So first thing, I'd take her out of a game and give her verbal and visual feedback through a video recorder. I'd then show her the correct technique through verbal and visual guidance. And highlight the key points that she needs to work on. I then set up a fixed distributive practice by marking an X on a wall, and she'll be standing about 1.5 metres away from the X. And she'll have to repeatedly chest pass to the X as powerful as she can so the ball comes back at sort of chest level. She'll do this for 2 minutes straight at the start of every skill session she does, and then have a 3-minute rest interval, and then repeat again, so 10 minutes at the start of every session. This will improve accuracy then, hopefully. She'll then move up to working with a partner, but working statically about sort of 2.5 metres away, just repeatedly chest passing to each other, keeping eye contact the whole time. You can then increase the distance to sort of 3.5, 4.5 metres, there's not really much need to go any further, since chest passes are sort of designed to be short, sharp passes. I'll then change to a varied practice, because passing is an open skill in a game situation. So the partner will be going off in different directions and calling for the ball, and her job will be obviously to pass, try and keep eye contact, and it'll be developing her decision-making skills, because she'll have to decide sort of how far in front of the partner to put the ball. And then move up to a 2 versus 2 game, sort of in a fairly small space. Each team will have to complete 10 passes to score. I'll be using negative reinforcement in this practice, so every time the other team score, the other team will have to do 5 tricep dips, and every time, well, that'll encourage accuracy then, and then we'll progress up to a 4 versus 4 game, because it's getting more realistic again, and the previous rule will still apply, but anything other than a chest pass used, you'll have to do 5 push-ups as well. So hopefully the punishment will reinforce accuracy and good passing. I'll then put her back into a game situation and give her verbal feedback throughout the game in the form of knowledge of performance. And then I'll constantly be positively reinforcing good passing from the sidelines, giving her praise and things, just to keep encouraging it. I'll then get a passing percentage in that game situation and compare to the first one, show her improvement, and then she'll have finished the skill action plan, so I'll just encourage her to sort of keep practicing, keep using weights and exercises to try and improve the power in her arms. Then move on to the aerobic action plan. Should be participating in netball training sort of throughout the action plan anyway, working on the weaknesses identified. The aerobic plan will hopefully get her able to remain at a high intensity for the duration of the game, because in games her opponent begins to sort of beat her to balls, and she shows visual signs of fatigue like muscle cramps and skill level dropping. So we're going to work on that. Before we start, I'll get her to do a multi-stage fitness test, and then she'll do that again halfway through, just to see if sort of we need to increase intensity or decrease, just so she's at the right stage. And then hopefully we'll see her improvement after if she completes another multi-stage fitness test. Yeah, with the aerobic action plan, she'll have an hour and a half, so 1 hour will be given to fartlek sessions and half hour will be given to a continuous session. I'm going to use the principle of progressive overload with the action plan, and this will apply the FIT principle, so we'll increase frequency, intensity and time to try and get her to improve, basically. So a continuous session, it'll start off with a 15-minute jog. We want it to be at a comfortable intensity, but it should really be about 65 to 70% of her maximum heart rate. Hopefully by the end of the session we'll aim to keep increasing the intensity which she works. After the jog, she'll then have a 7-minute rest interval, and then she'll complete 8 minutes on a rowing machine. Again, sort of at a comfortable intensity, but it needs to be, fairly high. Before every session she should complete a warm-up, so this will increase muscle flexibility, reduce the risk of injury then, and it'll reduce muscle viscosity, so the efficiency of her muscular contractions will be increased. This will consist of dynamic stretching and light aerobic work, just to sort of get the heart pumping and the muscles warm. She should also complete a cool down at the end of every session, so that'll speed up the removal of lactic acid and carbon dioxide, and then that'll consist of static stretching then. She should split the fartlek session into 2 half-hour sessions. We'll apply the principle of specificity, so the training specific to netball and the goal attack position. So, a fartlek session could consist of 20-second sprint, 30-second jog, 10 seconds backwards, and you just keep going on like that. You could make it specific to sort of the duration of a netball game, so have like a rest interval that you'd have in an actual game, and just keep going like that. Yeah, she'll do 3 sort of sets per session with 4-minute rest between each, and starting off, she'll complete it on flat ground, just to keep the intensity sort of, manageable. In the second week, she can hopefully increase the intensity just a little bit, up to maybe 70%. She could also apply the principle of variance in the second activity. So she could change the rowing machine to like swimming or cycling, just to try and keep her interested and motivated and avoid tedium. Throughout the 6 weeks though, it would be better if she sort of stuck to running mainly, just so she can get the maximum capillarization of the relevant muscle groups, so that'll improve like gas exchange and stuff, so she can get more oxygen to the muscles. She could also alter fat leg session by decreasing the amount of like low intensity jogging and rest intervals. In the third week, she can sort of reduce the rest period in her continuous session and increase the sort of continuous jogging. If she's comfortable, she can increase the intensity, but we don't want her to do too much too soon, just in case she gets injured. And then the principle of reversibility may come in, where she gets injured, she can't train, and her fitness suffers for it, so we don't want that to happen. She could also add in hills and running on sand to her fat leg session, just to increase the intensity just a little bit. She should keep increasing the intensity of sessions, increasing the percentage of her maximum heart rate at which she works. So she could go up to sort of 75%, maybe 80%, working on her lactic acid threshold. She could alter the frequency by adding in sort of another 20-minute jog a week. And with altering time, she could decrease rest intervals and obviously do more running time. At the end of the 6-week period then, she'll complete another multi-stage fitness test, so we can sort of map out her improvement and show her that, committing to training, it obviously helps, so that'll encourage her to carry on, hopefully. Her action plan will encourage the recruitment of slow oxidative muscle fibres in her legs. And these will help her throughout the game because they've got quite a high fatigue resistance, so she'll obviously be able to keep going for longer. It'll also cause hypertrophy of the heart, so her cardiac output will increase and her heart will have to work less to pump out the same amount of blood. With her action plan, she should have had quite a healthy diet as well, so eating plenty of carbs, as well as some protein just to repair muscles after training. Aerobic training will also increase storage of muscle and liver glycogen, and it'll also delay muscle fatigue because it increases the intensity at which obla is reached, so it's obviously good. When it comes to participation, netball in Wales is still considered kind of an amateur sport. There are development officers around, sort of increasing the profile of the sport, and the player pathway has improved over the years, so that's good. And she would have been introduced to netball maybe in like primary school, where she'd be at the foundation stage of the pyramid, where things like dragon sports would come in and sort of just teach basic skills and basic rules. And each sort of child would have the chance to play in any position via rotation systems. After showing an interest in netball, she may have progressed up to the participation stage, maybe playing for like a school team, or maybe like a junior club, like in Neath Talbot there's teams like Neath Colts that try and get people playing netball. There may have been 560 practices in primary school. Again, this is another sort of government initiative just trying to get people active. She's still at the participation stage now, where she's only playing for sort of a college team, but if she did go on to play for sort of an outside team, like in Neath Talbot there's Aberafon, Paragons, Pontedera. Okay, so she'd move up to the performance stage of the pyramid if she went on to play for like a club or maybe a regional team if she got selected for Abernethy. The focus here is on winning and sort of giving the best performance you can, and you may receive better coaching and learn more sort of advanced gameplays. If she sort of went on maybe to play for the national team, she'd obviously move up to the elite stage of the pyramid, where it's professional and there's specialist coaching, specialist facilities, there's funding available. There may be barriers to participation at the elite stage because netball is like an amateur sport. It doesn't receive as much media coverage, so there's not as much money in it as games like football. So then sort of the elite players, they're expected to be training a lot, and because there's not as much money in it, they can't afford to be paid high wages in netball. So they may have to be in part-time or full-time employment, which it may decrease their chances of going to training every night of the week and working as hard as they could if there was more money in the sport. So this might contribute to why netball isn't as successful in Wales as in countries like Australia, where there's a more sort of professional approach to sport in general. There's a lot of health and fitness benefits from netball. In terms of skeletal benefits, the repeated impact from sort of jumping and, just jumping really, it builds bone density, which reduces the risk of osteoporosis, and it also builds up your hyaline cartilage, increases the size of your hyaline cartilage, reducing the risk of osteoarthritis. So building your strength in the muscles around joints increases joint stability. So decreasing the chance of dislocations in, say, the shoulder joint. There's obviously a lot of cardiac benefits, so hypertrophy of the heart muscle will occur, and your cardiac output will increase, and you may achieve bradycardia, where your resting heart rate is below 60 beats per minute, which is really healthy and puts less strain on your heart. It'll also reduce blood pressure, so all the sort of fatty deposits in your arteries get flushed out with the constant pumping of blood through your blood vessels. And that means less high cholesterol and atherosclerosis as well. Again, the repeated sort of pumping of blood will produce harder artery walls and reduce the risk of arteriosclerosis. And the exercise in netball will also strengthen the inspiratory muscles, helping asthmatics as well, so that's good. And overall, it just contributes to a good, balanced, active and healthy lifestyle.